right, are we ready to go on the record, Mr. Mr. Ambrose?
Yes, Your Honor.
As a procedural question, I have a couple of questions for you.
On the record or off the record?
It can be on the record when you're ready.
Okay. Mr. Matney, is that you there trying to connect to audio? That's your client, Mr. Ambrose, or can you tell?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, it's him.
All right, we better wait for him to get connected. I don't even know if he can hear me. Mr. Matney, can you hear me? Sometimes if you use an earphone, it can make a problem in the connection. Can he communicate without his earphone? I see someone else with him. Evidently, they can't hear a word I'm saying.
There we go. Can you hear us now?
I can hear someone, yes.
No, I meant it's me, not them.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's you.
Judge.
I thought that sounded like you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Missy, you're the guru. What can we do? Missy, any ideas?
No, other than he log off and log back on, which Mr. Ambrose just told him that.
I wonder if he's doing like what I used to do, where when he hooks up his Zoom, he doesn't start his audio, you know, or he doesn't connect his audio.
Went to Quick Trip last night.
And it could just be he's at a location where he can't. But his video looks good. Ms. Gillette, you ever having problems with audio in Fredonia?
Just on where you're at, Judge.
That's what I was afraid of. He may be,
There's parts that's great and there's parts that not.
he might be at the part that's not.
Oh, if you go to the back half of my house where it's a metal roof, you don't get any signal. If you stand in the front half of my house, you get plenty of signal.
Maybe he just needs to go to a different part of the house.
Yeah, well.
I don't know if it's on a computer or a phone. If it's a computer, it might not be as easy to pick up. And Game Warden Bratton, are you in Fredonia right now?
No, ma'am. I'm actually in Wichita right now.
Oh, okay. Do you by chance know where that gentleman lives? And I thought the report said something about Wichita. Do you know where he lives?
I had, that day I was able to find 3 different addresses for him, and then he also had a driver's license out of Missouri, so
Okay.
I'm not
All
positive.
right. Well, I won't have you say anymore. I was just trying to see if you could help me figure out a way to get him to a phone or system that would work.
I got you.
I'm going to cut my stuff and try to get a call to him and see where we're at.
Thank you.
Do you think this is still good yet? Like that part looks.
See if this one will work.
Oh.
There
Hello.
we go.
Okay, I figured it out.
Very
Yay! I'm
good.
so sorry.
No, I'm just glad you got it
Thank you
worked
for your
out.
patience.
I understand. All right, let's go on the record then.
And Judge,
We are on-
Mr.
on
Matt,
the-
Mr. Matney, go ahead and mute yourself unless we need to call upon you for something so we don't have any extra background noise, please.
Mute yourself.
Sorry, Judge.
Mute myself.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure how to do that. Mute.
No, somebody did it.
What?
All right, we're on the record in the
All right.
13th Judicial District, the District Court of Greenwood County, Kansas. Case number 2023 CR 79, State of Kansas versus Billy Joe Matney. Please announce appearances.
May it please the court, the state appears by Judge Gillette, County Attorney.
Okay, please the court, the defendant, Mr. Matney, appears in person with counsel Christopher Ambrose of Harvest Legal, both of us via Zoom.
This is set for evidentiary preliminary hearing. Are you still wishing such a hearing,
Maybe it'll
Mr.
look better in
Ambrose?
person.
In speaking with my client, that is his desire, yes.
Very well. Ms. Gillette, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Judge. We need to take up a couple of matters before we proceed with evidence.
Very well. Please proceed.
Judge, this case, the main part of most of this case is going to be discussing use of identifiers for Kansas Parks and Wildlife accounts, and his actual identifiers. So, with this being streamed on YouTube Live, I don't know how you want to handle us discussing all of the identifiers, because that's going to be a big, huge chunk of this case. I don't know if you consider the defendant waived his right to having that be private, since it's going to end up being in a court case, or if...
Do you think he can waive his right to an evidentiary or to a public hearing? He has a right to a public hearing, so does that mean, do you think that means he can shut the public out? Is it
I don't
his
know that-
right versus the public's right?
completely shut the public out. It would be different if we were in a courtroom where it wasn't being able to be zoomed limitlessly, because I can't.
But a large number of people could come in the courtroom.
Correct. I mean, it would be limited to the number of seats, and you could always instruct them not to record his information, but I have the exhibits the Kansas Parks and Wildlife officer has provided us, which is also going to have his stuff in print. So I don't know how Mr. Ambrose wants to broach that. So
Could I receive paper copies of I presume Mr. Ambrose has all of this. So could I just get paper copies with the exhibit numbers on them, and we wouldn't have to screen share them? Or are we going to have to say the numbers out loud as far as Social Security, driver's license? Would the evidence require that?
well, that's what we're going to be talking about. And there's going to be these printouts. So if we're talking about his actual social versus the one on his Kansas Department of Wildlife account, which is different, and the social that's on one of the other accounts may match his actual social, and it's currently got revocation on it. We're going to be talking about those numbers. We're going to be talking about driver's license numbers and date of births, because there's fictitious ones on multiple accounts.
Okay, so Mr. Ambrose, your response?
There's a couple ways to do this from where I'm standing. The first of which is we could reference the last 4 digits of the Social Security and driver's license numbers, which would be to the point where we could identify them and not have to worry about the full number being out in YouTube for all the fine people out there that cut these up and make compilation videos to have flown everywhere. Similarly, with the dates of birth, we could use months and days, which would accomplish that. However, I guess the other option that we have is that if Mr. Matney's not even comfortable with that level, we could ask that we get this set for an in-person preliminary hearing. And I understand we don't normally do that in Greenwood County. However, it is an option that all of us are down there with some frequency. So we could accomplish that if we needed that way. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just, we're just gonna have to get it scheduled. That's what.
Well, I certainly will do an in-person if that's what we need to do. I have done that from time to time, certainly not with any frequency since COVID, but some cases it's asked for, and this is certainly one that I can recognize the need for. Ms. Gillette, what do you think about just putting it in person? Or do we need to hear from your client, Mr. Matney?
Yeah, and I'd like to see what Mr. Matney thinks about either the option from where I'm standing. And yet again, this is your courtroom, and I'm not trying to steal all the show here. That the two options from where I'm standing are we either use when we reference them, we use partially redacted numbers with, for the numbers as we discussed, or we set it in person. Mr. Matney, do you have a preference as to what we do with that?
I'd rather set it in person with all this going on like this. I would rather do that myself. I really would. Because a lot of people are watching this, and I would rather have it in person. I think we'd get a lot more accomplished that way.
All right. Missy can tell us how many people are watching probably. Missy, do you know?
No, not from this screen. I'd have to get on YouTube to find out how many people were watching.
It may not be nearly as many as you think, but and again, who knows? I don't keep track of that. So, okay, so the charges that we're talking about are identity theft, perjury, and making of false information. Those are the 3 felonies. We're not going to need a prelim for the interference with law enforcement or misrepresent a purchase license or fishing without a license.
Correct, Judge.
In person.
Okay. Of course, we do a lot of these that involve sexual abuse victims, domestic violence victims, and we survive by not broadcasting select portions of the hearing. Ms. Gillette, is that any way we could do it?
I can run the exhibits upstairs to you, and we can reference pages and line numbers that they don't match. I have also printed, and it's emailed to Mr. Ambrose, Cherokee County 2020 FG 19, which is the fish and game case that is currently revoking Mr. Matney's actual identifiers, or one of the accounts he has. So that is also an exhibit, and I can run them up, and we can try to refer to line.
Well, let's see what Missy has available for us in person. What can you do, Missy?
I think the first date I'd have would be that September 22nd.
A little over a month away.
And I can, I've already, sorry, shut up.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You've got one set at 1:30 for Zoom, so.
Yeah, I can do that one from Zoom, via Zoom, and then be there in person at 1:30 and do both of them then. That'd be fine by me.
Is the one at 1:30, what kind of case is it?
It's the one we set earlier.
The drug possession case, Judge.
It's a possession.
Yeah.
So would we do them both by in person, or?
We could still do the first guy on Zoom, and I can just be down there with my laptop and sit in one of those rooms and we'd be fine.
Okay. All right. Does that work for the state, Ms. Gillette?
It's fine with me, Judge. I just wanted to make sure we have everything the way it needs to be. So.
And Missy, that won't be a date that a district judge might need the courtroom?
No, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday. Okay, very good. All right. Well, Mr. Matney, you're going to have to be here in person in the courthouse September 22nd at 2:30.
No problem, Your Honor. I was on my way there today and just found out I could do Zoom, so it's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We will be in recess then. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I never checked. Deputy Warden Bratton, can you be here on that date and time?
Yes, ma'am. I can make whatever you need work.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We are in recess.